So the sun is gently going down over Lough Erne, and this is the venue for the 6th World Lough Championships. Tomorrow morning, this pontoon will be absolutely mobbed, with anglers from 14 different countries fighting it out to become world champion. So what exactly is lure fishing? There are lots of angling disciplines out there with different techniques for sea and fresh water. This one involves fishing from boats using artificial baits like this to try and catch predatory fish like pike and perch in fresh water. Lough Erne is this year's venue, a stunning inland waterway which spans the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic. It's 26 miles long and 150 feet deep in places. Why is this such a special place for the anglers? I mean, everybody knows that Lough Erne is a legendary fishing venue, but what is it that makes it so special?
Well, over the years it's been renowned as a fishery. It's been fantastic for coarse fishing, match angling in particular. The water's real clear now, the predators are doing very, very well, and as a result of that the pike and predator fishing has really taken off.
This World Championship's only been in existence for 6 years. It's so new, England have never entered before. But this time there was an England team in attendance. And the night before the match got underway, the youngest member of the England team showed us what it's all about.
I love being on the move. To me it feels like it's a proper sport. You're searching for the fish, you're hunting for them. It's not like bait fishing where you're baiting up and you're attracting fish, you're actually hunting those fish down. It's like a proper sport to me, and that's what I love about it.
Sam Edmonds is only 18, but he's one of a new breed of anglers attracted by the excitement and variety lure fishing offers. Sam, can you just run us through the kind of the 3 different setups that you're going to be using tomorrow?
Yeah, I've got 3 different setups here. This is a perch setup. On that setup we've been fishing lures such as small crankbaits, jigs and spinnerbaits, targeting the perch. This is the mid-size model. It's a 6'9" Veritas, can handle lures up to 1 ounce. That we've been fishing sort of larger baits like spinnerbaits and chatterbaits and big creatures, and also some large shads too. And this is the heavier setup. This is for big lures. It's a 6'6" Veritas. It's can handle lures up to 150 grams. That's around 5.5 ounces. So that'll handle big spinnerbaits and big shads.
Well, let's just talk about these baits, because the terminology you're using, shads and crankbaits and all the rest of it, may be alien to some people. So could you just explain to us what you mean by that? If you could just take that lure you picked up first and talk us through it.
I've got a selection here of some of the lures that I've been using today and I've caught fish on. This is a crankbait. Basically the shape of the bill gives it an action. This is
the bill at the front here, this tiny piece of plastic, like a vein at the front.
Yeah, and the longer the bill, the deeper the bait will dive. Some of them have a rattle in. This one has a rattle. They come in like a variety of different colours. This colour worked well today. It's like a black back with a red belly. Some other baits that worked well, jigs. Here we've got a rippled shad mounted on a jig head.
Let's just have a look at that. So this, what Sam's talking about here, this is the jig head. This is where the weight is. You can see the tail has got a shape to it, and as that's retrieved, that tail basically agitates, and that's one of the things that attracts the fish, isn't it?
You'll notice all the lures here as well, they're quite bright colours. It's because the water's stained at the moment and we want the fish to see it.
These are fascinating. What are these? Talk me through these. This is what you're saying is a chatterbait?
It's a variation of a spinnerbait, but the blade is at the front and it's got the action of a plug, but it's got the skirt and the movement in the tail like a spinnerbait. This is actually, I've put a trailer on this. This is a creature bait. That's actually meant to imitate a crayfish. But it's got so much movement in the tails and the curl tails that it makes it an ideal trailer.
And let's talk about the other, these huge shads. Yeah. You can see the size of that, and you'd need a very large jig head to be able to get that one down to a fishable depth. There's some quite big pike in here, aren't there?
Yeah, there's some big pike. All of these lures, they've worked well in practice. We've caught well on them, so.
He was inspired to try the sport by his dad, Gary. And Gary was about to achieve a lifelong ambition himself, Picked in the squad too, there was a chance of a father and son representing England in the same boat when the action got underway.
I never ever expected it. I was really praying that Sam would get in the team, but I never thought I'd get in the team.
What will it mean to you tomorrow, walking out on this pontoon with your boy, ready to go and represent your country in the World Championships, Gary?
Well, it's just an incredible, like I say, I just can't put it into words.
I know how my dad fishes. Obviously we fish together probably 80–90% of the time, so it's great to have him in the boat as well, because we've been practicing for the past couple of days together. Because I mean, sometimes I can tell when he's going to change lure and what lure he's going to change to, and it's great having someone in the boat. I know how he's going to fish.
But what of the other nations? It was a special event for Ireland as they hosted the championships. How are the guys faring then, preparing for this event, because it is a World Championship and you are on your home water, so how are their nerves?
Not too bad, no. We're quite confident, so we are, probably because it is our home water. So it is, so we know maybe more spots than most people, but again, the fishing changes sort of day to day.
The lake's been fishing very hard at the minute, and tomorrow I hope things change a bit. For us as a team, I hope the places that we have picked out that we think is going to fish well will fish well, because sometimes they just don't, and you have to put 100% effort in to make it work. So hopefully tomorrow things will change.
So it was time for the action to start. Would the Ukraine defend their title? How would the Irish cope on their own water? There were some serious challenges to face, with Russia, Italy, France and Poland also expected to do well. But what of England? One person was more nervous than most as the teams prepared to take to the water. So Caroline, you've got your husband and your son out on the water today representing their country. How are you feeling at the moment?
Oh, very proud of them, yeah, and the whole team. And well, everybody's just done so much work and effort into it all. Yeah, it's brilliant, really good day.
How are you going to be for the 6 hours of the match then?
Just on tenterhooks really, just a waiting game. Just hoping and praying for the England team.
So to the rules of the competition. Each nation has 2 boats. Each has 2 anglers on board fishing as a pair. An official steward is also with them to measure fish and ensure fair play. All fish are caught and returned fit and well to the loch. But how are they measured? And how do the stewards keep score? So in competition fishing, of course, you have to be able to measure the fish you've caught to be able to assign points. And this is the kit that all the stewards on all of the boats will be having today. This thing here is to measure the perch that the anglers catch, and this big one is for the pike. And I just need to explain to you how this whole thing works. So here we have our pike measure, which is graduated from 0 to 110 centimetres. The minimum landing size for a pike that counts is 50 centimetres. That's just here. And for a 50 centimetre fish, you get 50 points. And for every centimetre thereafter, you get another point. So if you get to 80 centimetres, a nice big fish that might weigh 10, 12, maybe 15 pounds, you would get 80 points. And this is the perch measure. You can see it's graduated in exactly the same way. The head of the fish rests here, and it goes from 0 to the minimum landing size for a perch, which is 22 centimetres. The same rule applies. You get extra points the longer the fish is, but in a perch case, the perch, a 0.3 of a point for each centimetre after that. The match itself takes place over 2 days. 14 nations, 28 boats, and some of the best predator fishing anywhere in Europe lay ahead. It was time for the match to start. Frankie, you've been kind enough to guide us around the event for the 2 days that we're going to be here. Tell us why this venue is so special.
Well, the River Erne is so special because of the beauty of the place, the peace and tranquility that you can see all around you here, the amount of fish that's in the water, all different types, perch, bream, roach, pike, trout, salmon, sea trout. Do you want me to go on?
I mean, it is fishing heaven, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It's a fisherman's paradise. You know, we have lots of visitors from all different parts of the world that come here on a yearly basis. To come back and they come back. Once they come here and see what we have, they keep coming back all the time. You know.
So, what are our chances of seeing some fish caught today, do you think?
I would think that unless we got all the bad fishermen from all these countries, we're going to see lots of fish caught today.
Our first port of call was to follow England's father and son, Gary and Sam Edmonds. They went east at the start, heading away from the town of Enniskillen, which formed the central point of the fishing grounds for this event. Sam and Gary had a struggle to find fish at the start. They decided to fish for pike, which, remember, count more per fish than perch. Casting these big rubber eel patterns into the cover, Sam was hoping to entice a big fish to take his bait. But with an hour gone, they hadn't managed to land a single thing. The entire field had spread to the four corners of the lock system, searching for fish willing to take their lures. Close to England on boat 19 were the French pair David Bourdet and Damien Bourget. France were also fishing this event for the first time. Boat 37's return after 6 hours fishing would be just 3 fish, 2 pike and a small perch, for 24 points. Points for the 2 boats in the team are added together to give a total and decide overall placings. It was time to head west and see if any of the anglers above Enniskillen town centre were having any better luck. We're back on Lough Erne for the 6th World Lure Fishing Championships. On day 1, the anglers had a slow start, but as the day progressed, things were starting to improve. All eyes were on the Irish team at the start of the match, with the other teams trying to work out where the locals were heading. So we've come from way in the east and now we are approaching Enniskillen town centre. Here's Enniskillen Castle, very famous landmark. And we're heading way the other side of the town at the moment to try and find the Irish team. As we've been coming up the lock, we've stopped and we've spoken to a few of the anglers who are fishing various different areas on the way. There are a few fish coming out. There are a few pike and a few perch. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more action on this side of the fishery. Local knowledge can be everything on a massive water like this. Knowing where to stop and fish with 18 miles of lock to cover is vital. Last year's world champions were the Ukraine. Here on boat number 4 were Yevgeny Makogon and Pavlo Girich. The picturesque town of Enniskillen provided the perfect backdrop, but the fishing here was slow too. Tactically, the anglers normally decide whether to target either pike or perch. This Ukrainian pair managed 5 pike between them, while their teammates in their second boat struggled. The reigning world champions would find themselves in 4th place overnight, with a 7th and 19th place for 26 team points after day 1. But here were Ireland. Their tactics in practice were to catch dozens of perch, but today the perch didn't seem to be feeding. In boat 33 were Jack Gorney and Thomas Kerman. Originally from Poland but now qualified to represent the Irish team, they'd managed to find some pike. This fish measured 79 centimetres. Their Irish teammates Colin Rutherford and Andrew Powell were looking hard to find a predator hotspot. Although they were catching perch, they only managed 14 measurable fish on day 1. Maybe local knowledge wasn't going to help this time. Most of the teams were using soft plastic lures to try and entice those Lough Erne pike to feed, but it's not always the biggest lure that catches the biggest fish. And the interesting thing we've been seeing, a lot of the anglers have been using very big baits like these, this kind of eel type pattern.
Yeah, salvage lure is very popular here in Lough Erne and quite a number of big fish have been caught in it, but the big fish that was caught here today was caught in one of these small rubber lures here with the weighted head.
Let's just have a little look at that. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that we're talking about. It's got a jig head at the top there and the actual bait is brightly coloured. You can see that it's slightly opaque. You can see the light shining through it though, and it's got a lot of crystal pattern in the centre, and a bright orange flash on the top, and a paddle tail. And the two things that we think the fish are attracted, we can't be sure, but it's the movement in that paddle tail and the sparkle you get as that goes through the layers. It just represents a kind of a profile of a bait fish.
Correct, and the movement in the water is unbelievable. The way these men control the rods and the movement to get out of the rods is attracting any fish that's getting caught.
We've been sitting here watching these guys for about 10 or 15 minutes or so, and we've seen them pull out a few undersized perch. They've obviously found a shoal of perch, and one of them's fishing one. They're a little bit like that, which has got obviously a much smaller profile. But again, you can see that sparkle, and it's got that kind of glittery type approach in it, which seems to be very attractive to the predatory fish.
Yeah, there's a lot of small fish here in this area here. Yeah.
That's why those green and yellow and black patterns are so effective, of course.
Yeah, most definitely as well. And you can see here, if we look down here as well, we have a perch one that imitates a perch. You have the stripes on the side, and again there's a heavy head on that to bring it down in the water because it's so light, and they jig it then from the base of the lake in through the weeds, and it'll sail through the weeds all the time, and again it attracts the fish.
There was a pattern emerging in the match as day one entered the closing stages. Most nations had one boat doing well, but the other struggling. England's Gary Palmer and Eric Edwards in boat 41 caught just 2 pike in their 6-hour session. News emerged that Sam and Gary Edmonds, England's father and son combination, had finally managed to land some fish. This was the best of them, landed by Gary. So, which nations were going to be in contention after the first day? Russia came into this competition as one of the most fancied teams. Their pairing of Alexei Shanin and Alexander Panchenkin were concentrating on pike. They had 8 fish between them from the western end of the fishing grounds. The biggest was an 83-centimetre fish. Russia's main challenge would come from the Italians. Alessandro Gardinazzi and Marco Gobbi managed 5 pike in a slow but ultimately successful 6 hours. They would claim 8th place overall after day 1, but their teammates Nicola Panareo and Marcello Severo were having an even better day. This fantastic pike was one of 15 landed by them. It measured 108 centimetres and would have easily weighed over 20 pounds. Often in these matches, a bonus fish can make all the difference, but local knowledge is everything, with 18 miles of loch to navigate. So Frankie, we've been up, we've been down, and now we're back in the town. We've got about an hour left of the competition. What have you seen today? What have you made of what you've seen?
Well, a lot of boys to me are fishing in the wrong areas, but I mean that's probably an experience and not having been on the River Erne before, you know. I mean, for instance, one of the best holding places for fish here is the West Bridge here in Enniskillen. Some of the largest fish that's ever caught about the town's caught at the bridge here, you know. Fish up to 25, 27 pounds, you know, and I haven't seen anybody fishing it yet, you know.
And I was expecting we'd come back through here and this would be one of the areas, because we're not far from the mooring for the hotel now, are we?
No, we're not. The type of fishing that they're doing is compatible with weedy areas and shallow areas, you know, and at the bridge here you're going from 8 to 20, 25 feet, you know, so they need to go down, they need to get down deeper to get the big fish, and if that's what they want to catch, you know. Yeah.
Well, the rules of the competition are very simple. The fishing stops at 4, and if your boat's not back on the pontoon by 4:30, then there is a penalty, then you get points removed. So I think we're going to head back to the hotel and see if a few of the guys are back there trying to pick up some of the fish, because there are good fish there too, aren't
there? Big fish
they?
around the hotel. Big fish has been caught at the hotel before as well, or within the vicinity of the hotel anyway. So I think that we probably get the most of the boats there by the time we get back there.
So as the first day of the match neared its conclusion, the boats moved to within striking distance of their moorings. The rumour was that Italy had done well on day one.
Tell us how many fish you've caught.
Today, 50 fish.
Between the two of you on the boat, 15 fish.
15 fish. 9 and 6, but it's a team. 15 fish. 15 fish.
What's your secret? What baits were you using?
It's normal. It's normal. Soft plastic. Many other teams use the same, but probably we are on the fish when they bait.
So, fellas, we saw you early on. You were struggling a bit. How did the day turn out in the end?
Yeah, we did okay in the end. We caught a few fish, some nice pike, up to 84 centimetres. That was the biggest fish. Caught a few that were undersized, but it just happens. There's quite a few small fish in here, and you've got to get through to the bigger ones sometimes.
Gary, who's taking the family honours?
I don't know, how many have I had today?
4, but he's had the 4 biggest fish, so.
Yeah.
And learned a bit for tomorrow, Sam?
Yeah. Definitely. I think we know where we're going to head in the morning.
Yeah.
We've got a few good ideas, so hopefully it will pay off.
It would take an hour to add the scores and see who was in charge here in Ireland. But once the calculations were complete, it was clear Lithuania, Italy and Russia were in control. So here's confirmation of the leaderboard after day one of the Lure Fishing World Championships on Lough Erne. Russia were leading, all of their 14 fish caught were pike. Italy was second with 9 points for their 20 fish, and the Lithuanians were third. England were down in 6th. The island team, hotly fancied to be one of the ones to beat on their home water, had a disappointing return and were 9th overall with 27 fish. Italy's Nicola Panareo and Marcello Severo were the top pair, with 15 pike to lead the event overall. England's father and son team Sam and Gary Edmonds were 5th, and optimistic of a medal if things went well for them on day 2.
So 6th place for England overnight, and they certainly won't be disappointed with that. And it's Russia who lead with Italy in second. They've had a brilliant day on Lough Erne. The Irish team, well, they'll be a bit disappointed with 9th, but there is still a very long way to go. Remember, we are only at the halfway stage. If I tell you in total, the 14 teams taking part today have caught 271 fish between them. It just shows you how well this place has fished, and we've got a promise of even better sport in the morning.
We're back on Lough Erne in Northern Ireland for the second day of the World Lure Fishing Championships. A reminder of the standings after day one. Russia led the event ahead of Italy in second and Lithuania in third. Today was a very different day. Bright sunshine and barely a breath of wind, as Lough Erne looked like a picture postcard. Ireland were the team with perhaps the most to prove, as they languished in 9th place overnight.
Was there an air of disappointment that things didn't go a little bit better for you yesterday?
Yeah, we had plans sort of in place to go for the perch, for high numbers of perch. They just weren't in the shoals that we sort of thought they would have been. We checked them sort of Friday night and they were there, and then Saturday morning when the competition started, they'd moved on. So it just didn't work for us.
And of course that's fishing, isn't it? Today you've got the chance to come back. What are your tactics?
I don't want to give too many tactics away just yet. But we hope to be moving up the ladder, so we're not going to give our tactics away.
You guys should know this water better than anybody. Looking at the table the way it is and who's doing what and where would your money be today?
Definitely Russia and Italy they had a big advantage. They had a really good day yesterday, probably better than average, so I would expect them to be back in the same spots again today, when they're going to fight for them spots, so I would say they'll definitely be up there again.
What will you guys settle for today?
We want the third, so we'll at least get the third place. I'd be happy if we got into the top 5, but third was what really are aiming for at the minute.
Any chance of getting to the top, do you think?
There is a slight chance. If you had a really, really good day today, you could definitely move into them tops, into the top places. So you could, but it would take you to have a really, really good day.
The Russians knew they had a great chance to claim their first ever world title in this event.
How are your team this morning? They're leading the World Championships. How proud are they of what they've achieved so far?
Yes, of course, they are very proud of being the first after the first day, but we know that difference in points, only 3 points within our team and Italian team, it doesn't matter for such big competition because next day, it means today, everything may be changed.
What do you think you're going to have to do to beat Russia?
Quello che hai capito? Sì, in the last years the Russian team is the best team, and they have also many time for practice fishing for this place, and we are not in this condition.
It's a glorious morning here on Lough Erne for the second day of the World Lure Fishing Championships. The armada of anglers is behind me. We're underway. Frankie, what a morning.
Absolutely beautiful. Couldn't be in a better place. You think we ordered the weather especially for the competition, you know, it's absolutely beautiful here. Northeast wind, slightly wee chill in the air, not much flow in the water, not much of a ripple or a wave on today.
What's it going to fish like?
Well, I'm hoping there's certain areas of it, including this one that we're in today, it's going to fish well today. But I think myself personally that again round the town, further up the top of the lake, they'll probably catch some big fish today again, you know.
Now, interesting, we're just positioned slightly behind boat number 7, which is the Italian second crew.
Yeah.
What do you think their chances are? Because you've given them a little bit of help, I think, haven't you?
Well, we had them out on a tour of the lake prior to the competition starting, and they identified spots that they need to fish in, and fair play to them. They put the plan into action, and it worked yesterday for them. They got some tremendous fish yesterday, one of them up on the 15-pound probably. If they hit well today, they'll be running it tight for first place. But I'm expecting them to be in the medals at least.
When you look at these teams from the continent, because in the UK and in Ireland, there's an awful lot of lure fishing, but we're some way behind some of these guys, aren't we?
Oh, these boys are really experts at what they do, you know. It's a different way of fishing altogether. It's search, hunt them out, get the bait down beside them and attract them, you know.
Even seen the French today, they've got a little remote controlled electric engine on the front of their boat that they can use with a tiny little remote control around their neck, and they can point it and they can change direction, minute little changes in direction so they can follow the fish. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is this technology being used to perfection, and attached to it also you'll see that they have fish finders and whatever, you know, and it's absolutely superb what they do. And to identify an area, the market, and no matter where they go, they'll come back again and they get the bleep on the screen and they're back in the same area where they identify the fish, and it's a different way of fishing really, you know.
No replacement for watercraft though?
Experience.
The weather is always a talking point for anglers. But today there was another factor which affected the fishing. Lough Erne is part of a huge water system, and downstream a series of lock gates controls the mass of water which crosses the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic. Today those huge gates were closed, which slowed the amount of flow on the River Erne. Fish don't like change and will shut down until conditions settle, so the anglers were to experience a tough day on the water. It would make for a fascinating day's fishing though, as the best lure anglers in the world were faced with a stern test.
So in the background we've got Sam and Gary Edmonds on boat 19 for England. They were in 5th place overnight. Been a frustrating day for them today. They've had a couple of pike, but both of the fish they've caught have been under size, which is no good to them, and they don't count in the competition. You'll notice I'm speaking very quietly, and it's kind of that atmosphere today. It's really quiet, really still. There's barely a ripple on the lake. But I think the factor that seems to be affecting everybody in this match today is the lack of flow. And it's basically switched the tap off. So you can see that the water is just not moving. And what you notice with fishing is that fish don't like change. When the atmosphere changes, oh, Sam's got a fish on. Sam has got a fish on as we speak. It's a pike. And he safely landed it. Well done, Sam Edmonds.
Well done, boy. Well done.
So we're just waiting to see if the fish that Sam's just landed is of size or not. The steward's just getting the measuring trough ready to take the fish out of the landing net, and he'll measure that and see if it's undersized. It's a skinny one. The key, of course, is whether it's a 50 centimetre fish or not. Just see a little bit of activity in the boat as they try to get themselves into the right position. Well, that looks like it's a 50 centimetre fish to me. I think that's going to count. You can see how skinny it is. In it goes to the trough. Sam's dad Gary is helping the steward out, making sure everything's in order. And Sam's having a quick look to see if it's of size or not. It's over.
59.
So 59 centimetre pike.
Back, nice and gently. Yeah, that's good.
In he goes. Well done, Sam.
That 59 centimetre pike would be a rare sight for the England pair. In fact, it was the only fish of size they managed to land on day 2. Gary Palmer and Eric Edwards would struggle as well, landing 2 small pike on the second day. It meant England certainly wouldn't be on the podium. They weren't the only anglers frustrated by the conditions. The defending world champions from the Ukraine were also suffering. Yuri Petrach and Andrei Litovets in boat 2 managed just 2 small pike during the day, as their hopes of pushing up the leaderboard vanished. There were some successes though.
Well, Frankie, we've moved right down to the east end of the loch now. We're in the middle of a fairly busy little channel. There's loads of boats and stuff going past. Yeah. The fishing's been hard today, hasn't it?
It has indeed, and up until we arrived here, we hadn't heard of really any big fish getting caught at all. But when we were at the last occasion, we said that if there was a possibility of a big fish getting caught, it would be this side of the town. And we have arrived here, and the team behind us here from Hungary have caught a massive fish of 20 to 25 pounds.
Very exciting. I mean, we've been dying to see a fish of that sort of quality for the whole weekend, really.
We have indeed, and I said this morning when we were having a discussion this morning as well that we would see a fish of over 20 pounds a day, and through pure luck.
The pike landed by Attila Furtos and Laszlo Takac measured exactly a metre and probably weighed 25 pounds. Just the kind of fish that's made Lough Erne famous for its predator fishing. But Hungary's chance of a medal was slim as they languished in 13th place of the 14 nations overnight. The big question was, could any of the teams pushing for a top 3 place find a big Lough Erne pike willing to take their lure? Time was starting to run out for the teams as the match entered its final stages. It's the second and final day of the World Lure Fishing Championship here on Lough Erne in Northern Ireland. After day 1, Russia were leading, with Italy in second and Lithuania third. But on day 2, the loch was providing a real test for the skills of the best lure anglers in the world. With less than an hour to go, it looked as though the championship was between 2 teams. Italy's Nicola Panareo and Marcello Severo in boat 11 caught 15 pike on day 1. They were leading the entire event, but Sunday's fishing had been frustrating. They continued to find fish tucked into weedy coves which surround the main loch. The problem they had was landing them. Between them, Severo and Panareo lost 8 pike during the day. Would that cost Italy the world title? Their teammates in Boat 7 had taken the gamble to fish for perch on the second day. Marco Gobbi and Alessandro Gardinazzi managed to land 11 of size in their 6 hours, with 2 bonus pike thrown in. Their total of 13 fish would have a massive impact on the way the match finished. It was a very different story though for the Russians. On day 1, with the pike feeding more readily, they were a force to be reckoned with. But on day 2, they were in trouble. Alexander Panchenkin and Alexei Shanin were in the silver medal position overnight. They were keeping a close eye on Severo and Panareo in the Italian boat as the clock ticked down. The Russian pair in boat 18 had landed 8 pike, the biggest a 67-centimetre fish. But their teammates in the other pairing had caught just 1 fish between them. This was going to go down to the wire.
Well then, Frankie, we're into the last sort of half an hour. I'm sensing a little bit of panic from 1 or 2 of the anglers, just desperately trying to catch some fish. It's been hard today.
It's been hard going all day today. 1 or 2 fish caught, but they're getting closer to the hotel and to the base, so they're not getting caught in time penalties. But they really are panicking, especially the boys that's near the top. The ones that are in with a chance need to catch that one last fish just to bring them home.
It was interesting, we just popped into that lock very near the hotel, and we saw the Italians and the Russians both inside there just desperately looking for that, that one last take.
Well, you've got, from yesterday's results, you've got first and second, and they're watching one another very carefully and hoping that they'll get one up.
And remember the rules of the competition, we're just approaching 4 o'clock, so we've got about 25 minutes or so to go. They have to be back on the pontoon, so they've stopped fishing at 4, but they have to be back on the pontoon by 4:30, otherwise there is a points penalty.
Heading back to the area in front of the hotel certainly did the Hungarians no harm. With 2 minutes to go, Laszlo Takács was retrieving his crankbait when this happened. A 71-centimetre pike landed as the final hooter for the match sounded. Just in time. And here's the bait he landed it on.
So here you can see the hard bait that's done the damage. That's a crankbait. 2 trebles. And you can see the orange underbelly on the lure. That's basically a roach pattern designed to mimic a roach. There are thousands of roach in Lough Erne. Lovely lure, successful method, and that just about sums up what this lure fishing championship is all about.
It would help the Hungarians move up to 11th.
Have you heard what's happened with your team? Do you know how many fish they've caught today?
Yes, but I'm only half happy because one of our boats has caught many fish. I think 8 pikes. All length is 4 meters 67 centimeters.
Good point score.
Yes, good point score. But the second, our boat has caught only 1 pike, 61 centimeter, and I don't say anything about team result because.
So could be good for individual, but not good for team.
Yes, maybe. It depends on other teams. So we need to see all results for all teams.
Today we find 11, 12 fish, but we hook up but cannot put in the boat because we found in heavy cover, heavy grass, and it's very difficult.
So you can find the fish but not necessarily get them from the cover?
Yes, we hook up 12 fish, 11, 12 fish, but only 4 in boat. And
So do you think that will be enough to get you a medal?
No, maybe the bigger fish of yesterday, but I don't know, I don't have an idea.
Lost fish for the Italians, a poor return from one of the Russian boats, but others had fared even worse. Ireland's hopes of a comeback on day 2 were alive with Jack Gorney and Thomas Kerman. But in their other boat, Stephen Powell and Lindsay McFadden had a nightmare. How was your day?
Very poor. Not a single run, not a take, not a follow, nothing. Straight into the weeds, straight out in the deep water with jigs, nothing.
How frustrating after all the work you guys have put in preparing for this event to be in the position where you've blanked on the second day. I mean, there's no other way to say it, is there?
There's no other way.
It's tough going, like, it's just, we went out there with high hopes, knowing our spots that we were going to go to, and as soon as we got there, it was just blank after blank after. It's just so poor.
Sam, how did your afternoon finish up?
Today the fishing was much tougher. We ended up with 3 pike in total, but only one of them was over the 50 centimetre size. It was 59 centimetres, but it was tough fishing. You know, the areas that we thought would fish really well today and the areas we caught well from yesterday, we felt really confident in, but it just didn't seem to happen.
Gary, how was your day?
Tough, but disappointing as well, I must say. I was really confident we was going to get some fish today. It just didn't happen. You know, we tried as hard as we could. We tried different tactics, so many different types of lures.
We talked to you before the start of the event about what it would be like for you. How's your experience of a World Championship, being fishing with your dad and catching a few fish? What's that been like, representing your country?
It's been an amazing experience. I've really enjoyed it, you know, to be fishing with, you know, some of the world's top lure anglers. You get to learn a lot as well. I mean, I've learned a hell of a lot of this competition because they've all been fishing different tactics. We've seen a variety of different approaches and methods. And you learn a lot at these kind of things, and you know, I'd love to do it again.
So the scores were being counted and there was nothing more the anglers could do. It would be an hour later before we discovered if Russia or Italy were the new world champions. Next stop, a hotel bedroom. The news was to be delivered. Had the Italians won or lost? Russia's poor performance in their second boat on day 2 had cost them the title. The Italian celebration said it all. So here's confirmation of the result from Lough Erne for the 2013 World Lure Championships. In the pairings, Lithuania came from third to claim the gold. Russia's Alexei Shanin and Alexander Panchenkin's 8-fish haul put them into the silver medal position. Ireland's Jack Corney and Thomas Kerman came from 9th to move into third with 12 fish on day 2 to claim the bronze. And Italy did just enough to overtake the Russians to win their first ever world lure fishing title. 17 fish caught between the two boats and 27 points. Russia took silver and the bronze went to Romania. It was time for the presentations.
Italy!
Jack, just sum up the weekend for us in a few words, would you?
It's been absolutely fantastic. Great relief that it's all over. No problems, no issues.
And the fishing?
Fishing was fantastic.
This championship grow. The location is absolutely perfect because it's easy for all participants.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's the second time we participate. We don't expect to win.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you, thank you. Very difficult day, but
it's been a stunning event. It's been a real learning curve for us. We've thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, and we haven't finished last.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I think the Irish have put on a fabulous display here. This is a fantastic venue, and I've really enjoyed it.
What have you learned about the way the Continentals lure fish? Because we're a little bit behind, aren't we?
I wouldn't say we're that far behind. We're catching up on them. It's these small lures and the quick actions they use with them. But we'll get there. Come on next year.
It's easy to forget that this event's still in its infancy. Remember, this is only the 6th World Lure Championships we've seen. But look at these guys, how much it means to them. The Italians prouder than anyone to have won the world title. And let's just hope this event grows and grows and grows.